it'd have to be snakes.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are here with an emergency Indiana Jones video today after learning that Disney is reportedly planning a full reboot of the franchise. This coming from various sources yesterday. And fair warning, this video is not scripted. I just want to get some thoughts out there, considering that we here at the channel are big Indiana Jones fans. I've been a lifelong fan of the franchise. And as you could tell by all the other Indiana Jones videos here on our channel, check them out, from rankings to deep dives to all that good stuff. So, but I wanted to get some thoughts on there on A, should there be a reboot? B, what should it look like if they do go through with this and decide to do it? And then C, who should be cast in the role of Indiana Jones going forward? Before we do that, though, like I said, check out the other Indiana Jones videos on the channel. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to us, and check out all the other good stuff that we have. And we also have a website, strangeawesomegames.com. Okay. Should there be a reboot of Indiana Jones? And I'll be honest, my take on this might be somewhat against the grain of what we're hearing in the space right now, but I've always seen Indiana Jones as similar to the James Bond franchise in that because it's set in historical periods, or like James Bond is always current to the time that it's filmed in, but it always reacted to the times that it's filmed in. So you can have a different James Bond, keep the continuity together, and just keep telling stories. And I feel like with Indiana Jones, you can do sort of the same thing. You can have a different Indy telling stories still throughout history, especially during that era of like the 30s and 40s, perhaps into the 50s, and still tell really good stories. And I think that Disney right now is learning from the success, especially critical success, of the video game Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, that there is still an appetite for this franchise. Dial of Destiny, while a movie that I liked, I thought it actually did good things for the character of Indiana Jones. I get why a lot of people didn't like it. I get that a lot of people were looking for something really different and looking for Raiders of the Lost Ark Indy, or at least Last Crusade Indy. And we didn't get that. We got an Indiana Jones played by an 80-year-old actor playing a 70-year-old character. Rebooting, recasting is a way to kind of move away from that, not be constrained by that, and keep telling stories in the prime of Indy's career. Should it be done? I don't know. It is Disney, and they've had up and down success with different things. So let's be honest. The Star Wars on the big screen, not my favorite thing in the franchise. I still overall think it's okay, except for I don't like 9 a whole lot. But their TV side has seen more success with, especially Andor and some other shows, but it's also had its downs, right? A lot of people didn't react well to The Acolyte. I'm not a big fan of Ahsoka, the show. So there's up and down with that as well. I don't know if whether they should or not is the question we should be asking, because I think it's likely that they're going to do this. This is a huge franchise. And after they've seen the success of Great Circle, they know there's just more stories to tell there, and more importantly, there's more money to make. The question is, do you put it back on the big screen, or do you make it a Disney Plus show? I think it should be on the big screen. That's what I personally would like to see. They might do both. I kind of doubt that. Disney's moving away from the saturating its franchises into the space. So I think we might move away from that. So if they're going to do it, and I imagine at D23 next year, this is going to be announced, then what should it look like? And this is where the controversial takes come in. So, apologies, just my opinion for what it's worth. I think, one, when you decide to do this, there's going to be people who are pissed off no matter what you do or say. And the moment, look, honestly, I feel like there are people in this world that whenever you take a franchise that's been around for longer than 10 years, 15 years, and you insert a meaningful character that has one of the two B's, and those are boobies or brown skin, people are going to scream woke all day long. And screw them, let them. The world is more than just what movies looked like 30, 40 years ago. The world's bigger than that. The world has more people than that. The world looks very different than that. So these stories should look like the world that we're in. And that's okay. It really, truly is. At least for me. And if you don't like it, don't see it. Right? A lot of people did that with Dial of Destiny because, there was a character played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge who, was a good female character and got the upper hand, arguably, on Indy a couple times. And fans didn't like that and had apparently forgotten about Marion Ravenwood. So I think people are going to vote with their wallets at the end of the day. And people are going to scream no matter what you do the moment you put a character like that into a movie. So forget them. Just do it. Like, if you're going to make this, make it. The worst thing Disney can do is try to make everybody happy, because that's going to result in absolute crap being made. There's no such thing as making everybody happy in the year 2025. It's not going to happen. The last thing I want to point out for what it should look like is Disney needs to learn from the Star Wars sequels. And the biggest lesson there is that when you go in without a plan for 3 movies and just kind of wing it in each one and let each director kind of just make it up as they go, that is a huge, huge problem from a continuity standpoint. Now, Indiana Jones stories tend to be a little bit more standalone than like Star Wars, but still, I think if you have a really good plan for the direction you'd like the character to take, things you'd like them to do, enemies you'd like them to fight, things like that, it will result in a much better product. Look no further than phase 1 and 2 of the MCU. In phase 3, since then, it's been a little bit differing returns. But the early part of the MCU was extremely well planned out, and it was fun. The Star Wars sequels just weren't that. It's really unfortunate. And then you see in Andor what can happen when you have like a comprehensive plan for the story you want to tell, how you want to get there, the direction you want the characters to take, what you want them to represent, all those things. Andor, huge success, versus the big screen stuff for Disney, which has not. The other thing I want to talk about from a direction standpoint is just like where it should be set and who the enemy should be. I think you should keep the 1930s, early 40s, Nazi as the enemy type of thing. And I think there's a lot of room. I mean, Last Crusade is set in 1938. You have 39 through 40 or into 45 for the, Nazi era still to set these movies in. There's a lot of time to tell some good stories there. In fact, none of Indiana Jones, minus the open of Dial of Destiny, was told during World War II. So I think there's a lot of stuff there that can be done while preserving what existed before. I think there's a chance they go to fighting communists in this, but I actually think it should be fascist. I think there's more relevancy for today's world in that, and I think that's the direction they should go. My last thing on this is I really think they should make a sincere, concerted effort, and it's not even an effort because it's up to them. Do what the James Bond films do and preserve the canon of everything that came before it and just tell additional stories. Don't make this a clear reboot. If this is like Raiders of the Lost Ark 2027 edition, then you're going to have me on board with you saying there's no need for this. If it's like, hey, we love everything that came before this, we're just going to keep telling more Indiana Jones stories from his life, cool, I'm on board with that. That's what I think it should be. I see this character as more like the Batmans of the world, Superman's Bond, in the sense that the character is bigger than the actor who plays it, and I think you can recast, as long as you recast well, and keep telling good stories while respecting and honoring everything that came before it. And that's what I want to see. My only other advice to Disney here would be that just please don't bog us down with the first movie being the whole like origin story and all that stuff. I think Spielberg actually did a tremendous job of telling a really crisp and fun origin story at the very beginning of Last Crusade. That's all we need. We're good. Let's jump right in and go. And I know it's going to be largely indie for a new generation. Cool, get it. But I still think you can watch that, 15 minutes of Last Crusade and you get all of your indie origin story and you're good to go. I think that's all we need. So now let's get into who should play Indiana Jones. And I think there's a few names that get thrown out there over and over, and I want to just touch on those really quick. So we hear Bradley Cooper a lot. We hear Idris Elba a lot. And those are names that started to get thrown out after, Crystal Skull, when, especially in Bradley Cooper's side. Also Chris Pratt back then, where people thought, okay, that's a good, actor to kind of take the mantle and go after Crystal Skull. Well, as we all know now, there was no recasting back then. Harrison Ford went on to make one more movie, and now we're looking at a possible reboot, some 17 years after Crystal Skull. So I think at this point, Bradley Cooper and Idris Elba, while both I think would be good in the role, I think they're too old at this point to take on the role. I want somebody who, like the new James Bond casting, I want somebody who can do 3 to 5 movies as this character. I want somebody who's going to sign like a 3-year deal with an option for 2 additional and go from there. I would take those 2 names out of the equation. Next up, a name I hear a lot about now is John Krasinski. And okay, I mean, the Jack Ryan was good, but if you've seen Fountain of Youth on Apple TV, and I have, I feel like that's a role. It's almost like an audition for Indiana Jones. It's a mix between Indiana Jones and like the Robert Langdon movies, like Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code and that type of thing. I feel that it just didn't land for me. I don't see him in that role, and again, I'm wondering age-wise if that can work. The only person in that category that I would say, yeah, this would be a really good fit, probably, would be Chris Pine, who is 44 right now, if I'm not mistaken. I think he could step into the role and just naturally do very well. I'm hesitant to do that, but if they are going to take somebody from that category, I would say him. Okay, so let's get into the names that get thrown about now as potential contenders. So we have Tom Holland, who gets thrown out for like everything now, right? Because, he's done very well as Spider-Man, but he's had really mixed returns in everything else that he has been in. I'm concerned about him taking on a franchise like this as the only lead, whereas in the MCU, he's one of many. Until we see him deliver, some really good box office returns and popular films as a lead actor in things other than the MCU. He hasn't done it yet. Uncharted didn't get there, right? So I'm a little concerned about that. He's also apparently one of the final 3 to be the new James Bond. So I don't know. I mean, you're definitely not going to play the leads in both those franchises. But he has no aversion, apparently, to being in gigantic franchises. So there's a plus there. You have Glen Powell, who gets tossed out for everything now. He and Pedro Pascal are like the 2 names that are brought up for everything. And I've heard Pedro Pascal brought up for this role. Put him in that first category too. Love him. But he's too old to play this role right now. Glen Powell is, I think, somebody who could actually fit the role fairly well. I know there's questions about his acting chops, but I thought he was pretty good in Top Gun Maverick. Twisters was silly, but not really because of him. I don't know. I feel like it would be worth a shot. I feel like he has that wit and charm that are really essential to Indiana Jones and could work in the role. So that's one to think about, and it really would come down to whether or not he wants to commit to a franchise. Like I said, for 3 to 5 movies. And then my other name I'm going to throw out hasn't really been tossed out a lot, but I think might be a decent consideration. This is also someone who apparently is being strongly considered for the role of James Bond. But Harris Dickinson, who I saw last year in Blitz and in Baby Girl and really liked his performance in both. And I think he, like Powell, can bring that wit and charm to the role. The other thing is he is 28 or 29. He's significantly younger. He could step in and really helm the franchise for, 15 years if he wanted to. And I think that could be a really good role for him and a really good fit from a casting standpoint. So those are the names I kind of have right now. Tell us what you think. Who do you think should play Indiana Jones? And I know a lot of you are going to say nobody, leave it alone. I get that. But if they're going to redo this, and I think they will, who should play the role and which era should the films be set in? Should they go back to the 1930s? Should the Nazis be the villains? Should we move forward, or will they move forward and have it be more communist, things like that. Let us know your thoughts and comments. Like I said, like the video, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And we'll have more Indiana Jones content coming, because apparently Disney does too. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.